thank you for joining us today. You're from KrellTech, so for people who might be unfamiliar with the company, could you please briefly outline the range of products that you offer to support the PIC industry?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Laura. Thanks for the opportunity to discuss our product line and our technologies. Krell Technologies, we've been in business for over 30 years. And when we first established ourselves, the markets we were addressing were telecom, datacom, and like cable TV. And the products we supplied, the polishing equipment, was basically supporting patch cords, cable assemblies, basically commodities that had standards that had to be met, industry standards like IEEE, Telcordia. But over the years, as but optics had integrated into much more broader applications, such as avionics, defense, and that's defense with a C for you, and it's the UK way.
Yeah.
And then things like sensing, medical devices, our product line had to evolve to meet those new specifications that come with those type of products.
Right.
But about roughly 10 years ago, more like 12 years ago, we had our first project that came to us in regards to processing waveguides and hence PIC type products. At that point in time, we didn't have an actual product line, so we had to kind of develop it based on that. And we started with a machine called our Flex machine, which gave high flexibility in terms of its name itself to researchers that are developing new PICs and waveguides at that time, capabilities of changing a lot of polishing parameters to be able to process their chips in a certain way that met their new forthcoming requirements. It was a very manual machine back then, 10 years ago. So we had to evolve that one into something more automated. So 6 years ago, we introduced our Nova polishing system, which was a more automated version of the original Flex, where it's tablet controlled, programmable user interface, automated accesses, and inline video inspection. So that really, like I said, 5, 6 years ago, established what we were going to build our PIC product line on at that point in time. And that's what we've been going forward with.
That's really interesting how the company's products have evolved as this new market emerged then.
Well, yeah, you have to do that. And nowadays, like I said, we initially started that telecom datacom market. That's probably less than 10% of our business now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, PICs have become, as in terms of inquiries, probably 50% of all our new inquiries are something related to the PIC waveguide type industry.
Oh, wow. Okay. And that just shows how the industry is growing. And could you expand on just how important polishing technology is to achieving high performance for PICs across all their applications?
Sure. Well, the polishing is the nitty-gritty of the PIC world. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like sexy like quantum computing or photon entanglement. It's like polishing, it's grinding and shaping types of objects. So, but it's important for PICs in terms of maximizing their performance. And that's in terms of improving coupling efficiency between components, minimizing reflectance between components. And all that is accomplished by providing a machine that yields superior surface finishes and geometry control. And this is all basically the way we like to sum it up. What we do is we shape, polish, and inspect the PICs. And that's why polishing is a very critical area. And what we found actually was we do a lot of projects with a lot of universities, and we do sample generation. And many of the samples we receive are in the what you call the post-dicing condition. And the surface finishes are usually quite terrible conditions.
Yeah.
So before you can even consider polishing those components, you have to basically co-planarize them. And at that point, you can move forward. So, the polishing is integral to PICs.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially as they transition from academia to commercialization, that becomes essential for reliability.
And that's issues that we're running into now.
Uh,
Exactly.
yeah. And could you tell me a little bit about what's unique about KrellTech's approach to polishing, and what the advantages are for PIC manufacturing?
Sure. A big advantage of our products is in the fixture itself, the fixture that's used to polish the PICs. If you don't mind me bringing a visual aid here,
Yeah,
this is
that's
a
great.
sample of a waveguide polisher.
Yeah.
It has 4 positions on it, so you can mount 4 different chips on it, basically.
Okay.
Um, it has interchangeable clamping mechanisms for different size chips. So this one fixture can support a variety of dimensions of chips, which again is important because at research stages, sometimes the researchers don't even know what the final shape or size of the chips. So they want that flexibility to be able to have one fixture that can support all those type of components.
Uh-huh.
Additionally, they don't know what type of geometry they need. They may need a flat polish or they may need it at an angle. So
Okay.
our fixtures incorporate that flexibility to support different dimensions as well as providing polishes at different angles.
Yeah.
Again, very critical at research and development stages.
Yeah.
Our features also, if you notice, have what we call independent suspension. Each position has a z-axis freedom of movement. Okay.
Uh-huh.
What that is critical is that when this makes contact with the polishing surface, it
Mhm.
gives a more equalized distribution of pressure. So one chip does not get more pressure than the adjacent chip, basically. And that
Right.
just provides a better uniform polish around the whole community of chips, basically. Uh,
Okay.
it also guarantees that the fixture and all the chips will always be in contact with the film, and there's not any skipping, like nothing's touching.
Uh-huh.
So it's our fixtures are kind of elaborate, incorporating all these features. The other one, which is a little hard to see, but each position, this part here and this part here, they're gimbaled together with like a ball and socket joint. And we're able to, by adjusting certain screws, change the planarity of the bottom surface. And
Okay.
what we do in our calibration lab is we hold this fixture with reference chips of known geometries over an interferometric device. And we adjust each position individually so that it's perfectly square with the polishing surface.
Right.
So we're actively aligning each position, and we're not relying just on passive assembly or tolerance of machining because we're aligning right at the point of contact. Again, it gives you
Okay.
superior geometry. Hence, our fixtures, like I said, are very elaborate from that point of view. Uh,
Uh-huh.
the machine itself is designed to have different modes of operation, what we call a manual mode, in which a engineer can develop programs, change different parameters on the fly, quick and simple, but then they can transfer those to a more programmable method, uh, in anticipation for more production type environments. And we can control movement on the z-axis in terms of positioning on an automated basis down to 5 microns,
Oh,
and
wow.
even go further in some manual situations to 1 micron. And that's important to control stock removal on the chips themselves. Because again, in addition to having good surfaces, good geometries, controlling the stock removal is important so that when you polish, you get to where the light guide positions are, but not break into them too far. So it's a
Right.
complete monitoring process, which our systems include with it. So it's not just a polishing machine, but it also has real-time monitoring to monitor the process in real time. And also, after polishing, we have inline inspection that allows you to inspect the surface quality, all while
Um,
your waveguide chips are still loaded in the machine. So there's no transfer back and forth from polisher to inspection station where there are issues with breakage or cleanliness. And then the last thing you ever want to do is have to reload you inspect and decide, oh, I need more polishing. You have to reload, re-reference everything. We are able to create like a work cell approach where you polish, monitor, and inspect all in the one machine.
Oh, wow, that sounds really streamlined then.
Oh yeah, it helps. It helps in the development phase very well,
Uh-huh.
and then eventually go into production. It's also another advantage.
Yeah. And I guess I also wanted to ask if you could describe some of the main challenges involved in the polishing process and how you're addressing those.
Um, there are challenges, and that's in terms of loading components.
Yeah.
Okay, because you have to be able to load the components on a repeatable basis, and also have to be aware of methods of clamping and holding the pick in the
Uh-huh.
fixture in terms of not damaging any sensitive areas on the chip itself. Because a lot of these chips are very elaborate, and there's only certain areas that you can actually touch and make contact with.
Uh-huh.
So that's always a challenge. And they're all different sizes. So a lot of projects, different fixtures have to be designed and fabricated to accommodate that.
Uh-huh.
Um, the other, challenges are, obtaining good surface finishes, and that's a matter
Uh-huh.
of process development with various types of different polishing films and abrasives, and
Uh-huh.
different types of backings and cycle times. Um, Edge geometry is an issue, maintaining angles within a certain tolerance that's
Uh-huh.
demanded by a customer. And again, removing material at a certain rate is also critical. All these are challenges that we tackle when we have a new project. But we have a good database of knowledge over many years, so we can apply that to it. But there's always something new that comes up with every new project. So.
Yeah, of course. So as PICs continue to evolve and integration density increases, does that present new challenges for polishing solutions?
Um, Not really in terms of densities, but
Uh-huh.
as you alluded to earlier, scaling up to higher volumes is
Yeah.
really the issue that we're trying to address now.
Uh-huh.
We've addressed it at a certain level. Um, it's always a balance at this point. The researchers want flexibility in
Yeah.
fixture design. They want to accommodate different sizes, different angles, but in order to do so, the mechanisms are large and it
Yeah.
takes up real estate. And you just are limited on the number of picks you can polish if you want all those uh, parameters that can be
Combinations.
changed.
Uh-huh.
However, once a waveguide design is set, its dimensions are known, the edge angle is specified, then we can take a different approach, something we call like a carrier approach, where um, we have something we call a carrier, which is a
Ah,
small
yeah.
fixture in which the waveguide would be loaded offline,
Right.
okay, in a loading station, basically.
Okay.
So you can load multiple of these carriers offline, and then you can take a multi-position fixture and then basically load those carriers onto that fixture. And it's much more convenient. You're not handling the small pieces inside this.
Uh-huh.
But since we're using this, we don't have angle variability and we don't have chip size variability. You can polish um, many more chips at the same time, basically.
Right.
So
Uh-huh.
that's one method that we're using to address production.
Yeah.
Again, uh, the customer would have to define what specific chip is going to be polished, and then these
Uh-huh.
carriers can be designed for those.
Yeah.
But still, we're looking more to the future. I mean, this is one approach that's working very well right now, but we still foresee within the next 3 or 4 years higher volume requirements, and we're going to be initiating several projects now that will integrate more like robotic and smart vision systems
Okay.
um, as a next stage.
Uh-huh.
It's going to take time and
Yeah.
development money, um, but we foresee the need of it coming within the next 5 years. So we're trying to position ourselves to address that when the time comes.
So, besides evolving in terms of scale, we're also seeing new materials coming out, and there's a really diverse range of platforms that PICs can be built on. So I was wondering, do the different materials require different polishing techniques? And if so, what is your technology compatible with? And are you looking to support any different ones in addition in future?
We've seen many types of PICs come through our lab, and
Uh,
as you mentioned, different materials, anything, silicon dioxide, lithium niobate, sapphire, combinations of all of them.
yeah,
Um, and basically processing those different types of materials and combinations of materials, that's where process development comes in. It's
right.
pretty much trial and error a lot of the time, testing
Uh,
different abrasive types with different pressure settings, different cycle times, polishing speeds. There's a lot of variables that you play with.
uh,
Polishing is more of an art than a science in a
uh,
way. Now, having 30 years experience polishing, that helps us get a good jump on each new project. But
yeah.
as I mentioned earlier, each new project has some component that is an unknown that has to be addressed. Um, Basically, when we get a project, I would say maybe 50% of the project is custom design fixture for holding, but the
Uh,
other 50% is this process development.
uh,
It's a laborious, uh, it's required, but it is laborless.
yes.
So,
Yeah. That makes sense, but yeah, really interesting that it's almost the same kind of factors, but you just have to play around with them and tweak it for each
that's
material
true.
and each.
And, a lot of times we develop baseline processes for a customer.
Right.
However, once they receive a system from us, they're going to have more experience with their chip than we ever had in our, lab doing, a project.
Uh-huh.
But our systems provide them with the tools needed to make adjustments, improvements, and kind of increase the performance even more than we were able to in our lab. So,
Right.
and the equipment is pretty straightforward in learning and operation. But again, it gives them the flexibility to try more innovative approaches with their own engineering teams, basically.
I also wanted to ask about how KrellTech collaborates with partners, other partners in the industry, such as PIC foundries, to kind of optimize these products and processes.
You know, our partners usually, for the most part, are our customers
Right.
because, do performing projects with them, there is a back and forth sharing
Uh,
of knowledge.
yeah.
We generate samples, we test samples, we send them samples to test. They send
Yeah.
them back. So there's back and forth um, dialogue going on a technical level, uh,
Uh,
with the hope of it will get the best performance.
yes.
So in terms of partners, that would be our number one partner, the customer
Yeah.
itself. We also work with like in this region here in the States, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware. We have a hub called Advancing Photonic Technologies, APT. We work closely with them and their companies that are members, and it's a good association to, share knowledge, get together a monthly basis or so, talk about what's advancing, what's going to come up new. So that's another area where we get a lot of cooperation. And also there's some colleges we work with in the areas in terms of internships.
Um,
And sharing facilities too, in terms of testing. Some equipment we don't have because of expense, but they have it. And
uh,
it's a good two-way street on that level also.
so the last thing I wanted to ask you was just looking ahead, what PIC innovations is KrellTech most excited to see in the future, and how does that feed into your strategy to advance your technology?
Well, as I alluded to a little earlier, I think the next um, generation of our equipment will be more robotic
Uh,
position, basically taking more of the hands-on operation that our equipment needs on a certain level right now. Uh,
yeah,
that and also some more advanced inspection technologies,
uh,
uh, in addition to just monitoring and inspecting, do some feedback and analysis, with
Uh-huh.
hard data as opposed to, let's say, qualitative data. So
Right.
having a system like that that could be put into a production line, that's
Uh-huh.
really what we're striving for.
Yeah.
And actually, our engineering department is kind of looking forward to that because they'd love to get their hands on new equipment, learning more robotics, uh,
Uh-huh.
uh, testing new scratch analysis systems and that type of equipment. So
Yeah.
that's what we're looking forward to. And like I said, sometime within the 5 years, it's going to be needed. And we here at Krell want to be there. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of that move towards automation and for higher volume as the industry continues to grow. Um, yeah, well, that's great. Thank you so much for joining us, Al.
Oh, I appreciate the opportunity, Laura. And anytime you want to do it again, just get in touch, okay?
Thank you.